They call him the most elusive man on Earth, a leader whose every public step is choreographed to the second, and whose private movements are almost impossible to trace. Jong Un doesn't simply travel. He vanishes, and then, hours, days, sometimes weeks later, he reappears exactly where he wants to be seen, and nowhere else. To the outside world, it looks like magic, but behind the curtain, it's something far more calculated. Every trip, no matter how short, is a high-stakes operation. Every route is mapped in layers, false trails, decoys, and sometimes entire convoys that exist for no other reason than to confuse anyone watching. Even seasoned intelligence agencies admit they can't track him in real time, because while most world leaders depend on visibility for power, Kim's power comes from disappearing, and this is where our journey begins, inside a travel network so secure, so unpredictable, that even a single misstep could change the course of a regime. But first, we need to see the part of that network that flies above us, silent, unmarked, and far from ordinary. At 30,000 feet, power looks different. No podiums, no flags, just a shadow crossing cloud tops and silence on the radio. They call it Shamai 1, named after the national hawk. On paper, it's an aging Ilyushin Il-62M from the Cold War. In reality, it's a flying stronghold rebuilt for one passenger. Inside, the world softens. White leather seats, rosewood tables polished to a mirror, crystal ashtrays that never see ash, a cabin tuned to whisper, so briefings feel like secrets, and secrets feel routine. But luxury is camouflage. The real muscle lives in the wiring. According to defense analysts, the jet carries electronic countermeasures that can jam radar locks, scramble communications, and turn tracking into guesswork. When it lifts off, fighter escorts sometimes rise with it, quiet, patient, and invisible to anyone not meant to see them. Range matters more than speed. The IL-62M can stretch close to 10,000 kilometers without refueling, which means fewer stops, fewer eyes, fewer moments of risk. No terminal photo ops, no predictable layovers, just long arcs across the map that end exactly where the story needs to start. Critics call the airframe old. They're not wrong. Age raises questions. Maintenance, redundancy, the kind of failure you can't pull over from. But that, insiders argue, is part of the play. Familiar silhouette with unfamiliar guts. Refit until it's less vintage and more vault. And the entourage doesn't always fit in one fuselage. A dedicated cargo aircraft often lifts the rest. Equipment, staff, even the armored limousine. So the moment the door opens, the motorcade is already alive. No rentals, no compromises. Everything from the phone lines to the door handles arrives pre-cleared, pre-secured, pre-known. Departure windows slide. Routes bend mid-air. Flight plans read like riddles. By the time anyone thinks they've solved one, the wheels are already down. Still, there's a problem with any crown jewel. It draws attention, which is why the most unsettling tactic doesn't happen on this plane. It happens around it. Because sometimes when Chamai 1 climbs, it isn't alone. And that's when the sky turns into a hall of mirrors. In most countries, a head of state's flight is unmistakable, escorted, trackable, and broadcast as a show of power. Jong Un does the opposite. He makes the skies lie. When he travels by air, there's often more than one aircraft leaving North Korea, sometimes two, sometimes three, all departing within hours or even minutes of each other. Same origin, similar appearance, similar flight profiles, but only one carries him, and the others? They're bait, fully staffed, stalked, and prepared to play the role of the real thing all the way to landing, enough to keep even experienced trackers guessing and to force any hostile plan into a coin toss. The tactic isn't new. Cold War leaders used it, but North Korea has perfected it. 2018, Singapore. 3 planes leave Pyongyang ahead of a historic summit with Donald Trump. One is Chamai 1. One is a cargo jet with his limousine. The third, an Air China Boeing 747, an intentional curveball provided by Beijing itself, flying under a commercial call sign before switching mid-air. Which one was his? That was the point. You couldn't be sure. And the choice of airframes is no accident. Older Soviet jets like the Il-62M are less predictable to modern surveillance systems, especially after heavy modifications. They carry bespoke communications gear, hardened security tech, and redundancies designed for an airborne fortress, not a passenger liner. But in the end, decoy skies are just a prelude, because once the wheels hit the tarmac, the game changes completely. The enemy shifts from radar screens to city streets, and that's where the next phase of the operation begins, low to the ground and impossible to miss unless you're looking in the wrong place. In most places, a convoy means the principal is inside. With Kim Jong Un, that assumption can get you lost, or worse. His security teams have perfected the art of being seen without being there. Sometimes a full motorcade will roll through a city, sirens off, tinted windows hiding silhouettes, while the real Kim slips away in an entirely different direction. At other times, a convoy will linger somewhere visible just long enough for foreign media to start snapping photos, while he's already miles away, moving unseen. The trick isn't just about fooling outsiders, it's about creating noise, false signals that clutter intelligence channels and burn an enemy's time chasing shadows. Every minute wasted on the wrong target is a minute the real target is safe. Then there's the underground network, one of Pyongyang's most whispered about secrets, a web of fortified tunnels, some wide enough for vehicles, linking key compounds across the capital and beyond, equipped with secure communications reinforced against attack and sealed from outside access. These tunnels allow him to travel between safe zones without setting foot on an open street. To the public, he's nowhere. In reality, he's moving fast and far. It's a system designed for unpredictability. Even if you had eyes on every road in the city, you'd never know which car or which route was real. And when the enemy can't pinpoint your position, their plans collapse before they start. But all of these illusions work only if the man at the center is protected at every step. And that's where Kim Jong Un's most iconic defense comes into play. One that moves with him, breathes with him, and closes ranks the second trouble appears. Before you even see Kim Jong Un, you see them. A wall of men in dark suits, each one handpicked not just for loyalty, but for perfection in every measurable way. Height within a narrow range, physique built for speed and endurance, vision and reflexes tested until failure is impossible, and loyalty vetted so deeply their family histories are examined 2 generations back. This is the main office of adjutants, an elite unit that exists for one purpose: to keep the supreme leader alive. They train like soldiers, fight like commandos, and move like a single organism. Martial arts, firearms, evasion techniques, every skill sharpened until it's muscle memory. In public, they form a tight ring, 3, sometimes 4 layers deep, giving Kim a 360-degree living shield. On either side, guards walk in lockstep, eyes scanning the crowd. Behind him, others track every movement. Ahead of him, the director of the unit clears the path. Then there's the image burned into the world's memory, the running bodyguards. 12 men jogging in perfect formation alongside his limousine, keeping pace no matter the terrain. To the untrained eye, it's theater. To professionals, it's the ultimate moving barricade, ready to react in seconds if a threat appears. And they are not alone. Beyond this inner circle, the guard command sets up multiple perimeters, sometimes extending half a mile out from wherever Kim is present. Roads are closed, buildings swept, vantage points locked down. It's protection layered on protection, each line designed to stop what the last one might miss. For any attacker, the message is clear. You'd have to go through dozens of the most elite trained operatives in North Korea before you even see him, and by then it would already be too late. But this fortress of people is only part of the story, because Kim's security doesn't just follow him on the ground. Sometimes it rides the rails, and that's when the whole country moves at his speed. Cleared. Perimeters are set up as far as half a mile away from the actual location. Their work starts long before his arrival. Advanced teams sweep every site for explosives, hidden cameras, or communication devices. Food and drinks are tested for toxins. Private hotel floors are locked down. No guests, no staff, no one without clearance. When he stayed in Singapore's St. Regis Hotel for the 2018 summit, the Guard Command effectively turned the building into an extension of Pyongyang, complete with secure phone lines, pre-approved furniture, temperature, and a hidden medical team on standby. These measures don't just protect against direct attacks. They control the environment so tightly that nothing unexpected can happen. Because in Kim's world, unexpected is unacceptable. It's a moving fortress, one that expands or contracts depending on the threat level. And within that fortress is another layer, the personal bodyguards from the main office of adjutants, shadowing his every step. But sometimes even 3 rings of security aren't enough. Sometimes the safest way to move is to change the game entirely, to step off the roads, out of the skies, and onto rails that belong to no one else. And that's where the Supreme Leader's most famous, most impenetrable mode of transport comes into play. It looks harmless. Olive green paint, a yellow stripe, windows that don't quite glint like glass should. But this is no ordinary train. This is the moving fortress. Every carriage is reinforced with armor plating. The windows are bulletproof. The floors and walls are built to withstand explosives. And somewhere on board, concealed from sight, is enough weaponry to fight its way out of an ambush. Inside, the contrast is startling. Pink leather armchairs line conference rooms where Kim can hold meetings in total security. Dining cars serve lobster, fine French wine, and multi-course meals spanning Russian, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and French cuisine. On demand, private suites offer beds as plush as any 5-star hotel. But luxury is only the second priority. The first is survival. The train moves slowly, around 55 km/h. Not because it can't go faster, but because speed means nothing if the track ahead isn't safe. Second train runs miles in front, sweeping for threats and clearing the route. A third may follow behind, carrying extra security and equipment. Entire stretches of track are guarded by soldiers as the train passes, every crossing locked down until it's gone. Travel schedules are never announced. The train often moves at night. Sometimes it will stop for hours in remote areas, giving the illusion of stillness while the security apparatus reorganizes ahead. In 2019, the journey from Pyongyang to Hanoi for the US summit took 65 hours, almost 3 days, simply because that was the safest way to move. And unlike a plane, a train can't be shot out of the sky. It can change direction, hide in a tunnel, or stop altogether if the situation demands. This is mobility as a fortress, slow, deliberate, and built to outlast any crisis. But rails aren't the only way Kim escapes the reach of the outside world. Kim Jong Un's travels aren't just about moving from place to place. The question isn't where he is, it's whether we'll ever truly know. If you want more stories from the hidden side of power, where money, influence, and secrecy shape the world in ways we never see, subscribe to Richest, because this was just one journey. The next could take us anywhere.